That was Sue there, didn't she? Was Sue at high school?
No, I emailed you a letter, a note.
From her? Well, I didn't see it, because I've been home.
I think I scanned it. And I forgot to send it to you. I think I started okay. No, I kept sending it. I started a scan. Yeah, that's too much going on.
I'll be on there tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay, at this time, we're gonna call the first meeting of the Deer Lodge School District number 1 to order. Just a reminder that meetings are being recorded pursuant to the new state law that went into effect today. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we get a recognition of visitors?
We have Deborah Crow, Riley Trainer, Carrie Glisson, Katie Crowfoot, Shirley Peters, Shelley Burton, Annette Gallahan, Rick Chrisman, Sean McConaughey, Rick Crow, Randy Brashear, Aaron Jewell, and Luke Ulatowski.
Mr. Duncan, are there any
I
correspondence?
have 2 letters of correspondence, Mr. Chair. First letter dated June 21, Mr. Rick Duncan and school board members. This is my 2-week notice. My last day will be July 8th of 2024. Sincerely, Mike Maher. And the second letter dated June 27th. Effective immediately, I'll be submitting my 2-week notice. I'm doing this because I'm moving forward with starting my own business and have to dedicate more time to and can't expect the school system to be flexible with these needs. I appreciate all I have learned and experience I've gained, but at this time, I have to look forward to my career. Thank you for everything. Sincerely, Oli Galvin, who is a custodian at the high school.
Thank you. We'll take an oath of office, reorganize this board.
I have certificates, very recent certificates for Mrs. Nicholson and Mr. Smith. So you guys can take the oath, but I won't ask you to sign a new certificate, okay? Mr. Perkins and Mr. Anderson, I have nothing on record that says you were ever put on the board. So not only will we take the oath,
Oh, we're done. See you later.
Not to say that you didn't, it's just please keep in mind my predecessor. So do you guys want to do this individually, or would you like, as a group? Okay. Up and down. Okay, right here? All right. I do solemnly swear that I will support, protect, and defend
I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Montana,
and the Constitution of the State of Montana.
and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity. I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity. So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Linda, if you could sign down there, please. Mr. Brady, you can sign in here, please. What are you making fun of me? To sign.
You know they make one of those little sliding plastic things.
For this thing.
Oh, no, I'm just kidding. Give it about 30 seconds. The buddy tape. That's the best buddy tape job I've ever seen in my whole entire life.
Yeah, that's gas and up.
Mhm. Thank you very much, appreciate it.
I'm gonna turn it over to Mr. Duncan for the nomination of the chair.
All right, so it's not reorganization, it's actually the organization of a new unified board tonight. And I'll take nominations for chair of the new unified board for Deer Lodge School District Number 1. Are there nominations?
I nominate Scott Perkins.
Scott Perkins has been nominated. Are there other nominations? Are there other nominations? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Scott Perkins.
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Chair, congratulations, and it's back to you.
All right, thank you. Take nominations for a vice chair.
Well, I nominate Bart Smith.
Any other nominations for vice chair? Nominations, seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, same sign, motion carries. Okay, next is a committee appointments. First is claims. Mr. Rabel, would you serve on the claims committee?
I will.
Mr. Anderson? Yep. Okay. Next is interview committee. Mr. Smith, would you?
Yes.
And myself will serve on the interview committee. Negotiating committee, Mr. Gravely,
Yes.
Ms. Nicholson,
Yes.
and Mr. Anderson? Yep. Okay. Transportation, Mr. Gravely?
Yes.
That is that.
Chair, could you keep up that?
Yep.
Yeah, I got notes.
Trustee, no appointment. Is there any public comment, anything that is not on the agenda? No public comment. Entertain a motion to approve the joint board minutes from June 11th.
I move that we approve the joint board minutes from June 11th.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the joint board minutes from June 11th. Is there any discussion? Corrections? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next,
I'll abstain from
Okay.
John, if that needs to be.
I have seen also, I was gone.
okay. Next is the adult literacy.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, we have the executive director here, Randy, as well as I think a couple other board members and some people from the Powell County Adult Literacy here. And Randy would like to do an additional presentation. So Randy, I'm going to turn to you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Randy Brashear, and I'm the Literacy Director. What this program provides is the ability to attain your high school equivalent diploma, a little bit of tutoring, as well as adult education classes. Students can go at their own speed to achieve their goals, which offers the flexibility most people need, and I'm here to kind of help them through that. I currently have 4 students that are now enrolled, and I've had a lot of calls recently about more people wanting to sign up, which is great. 2 students have been in the program for a little while now, but they're making great progress. They take things day by day. They both work full time, so it's, again, the flexibility there. So every 40 hours, we go through and we redo their TABE test to see if they're making progress or if they're not making progress, what we need to do to improve what they're doing. When they pass, they can come to me if they choose to figure out if they want to do more, such as go to college, go into the military, or just need help finding a job. I've been working along with Shannon Wright, who works for the Job Services in View. It's been a new adventure, but I think it'll be a success for the program. Aside from the HiSET, I offer a little bit of tutoring with any kind of homework. I think it's very important for somebody to have any resources regarding just basic homework. My current goal right now is to have consistent adult education classes and do 1 or 2 fundraisers every year if needed. I've spoken with Pioneer Federal about doing a class for home buying, and they are more than happy to do that. That will be offered at the end of September. And then I've also spoken with Miles at the Planosaurus Rex in Butte, wanting to do frequent classes with us, and his first class is going to be called Plantolene. I'm excited about it. And he basically teaches you how to build terrariums and basics of plants. But I've had a lot of requests on my unofficial poll on our Facebook page. So some of the classes that I'm currently working on are like American Sign Language, Computer Basics, Canning, financial classes. I just think it's important to have a variety for different ages. That's currently what we have going on.
Thank you.
Thank you. There's other representatives here who may like to speak to the motion. It's not really a motion, it's a presentation.
No, I was just gonna add, the other thing that I was the program director for the literacy program for 2 years. And so I took it over from Cindy Nolan, who was there for a couple years, I think. Anyway, one of the other things that the students can do through the literacy program, it is work at your own pace. That's one of the benefits of it. So like Brandy said, she has a couple of students that are work full-time, so they can work on that on their own. I still say we, I haven't been there for a year. The literacy program is connected to the adult Butte School District, the Butte School District. So they have taken on all of the costs of paying for the HiSET program, paying for the essential education, which is what they use to work through the program so that they can take their tests. They paid for, it was once a month when I left. They had talked about going to twice a month, having a proctor that goes to Montana Tech to administer that test if students want to drive to Butte and have that test with a live person. But the literacy program here has the setup to be able to do, for students to be able to take those tests in the courthouse at the school, at the classroom, if you will. It sounds like there's been a disconnect in communication between the Butte program and this program as far as what that looks like. So I'm going to go in on Friday and hook Randy up with that and show her how that works. But students can take those tests locally here in Deer Lodge, so they don't have to drive to Butte and absorb that cost. I know in the past when there has been students that had to go over to Butte because internet issues with the courthouse or whatever, the literacy board has approved some stipends for mileage for those students to do that because they want them to be successful too. So one of the things that's really great about partnering with Butte is they hold all of the credentials needed to satisfy what HiSET requires to be a testing center and all of that. So it's really fortunate for us here locally, as small of a community as we are and as small of a population that we serve, to not have to have somebody that has a degree to have to pay that salary for somebody that has a degree in that program. So that's a really nice benefit too. So just so you guys understand how the literacy program works with that partnership with Butte. It's a huge benefit to us, and Butte does not charge us to partner with them. So huge benefit to Powell County. Yeah.
What's the budget for the literacy program?
I have it up there. So the total budget for the literacy program was roughly 45,500. And Powell County High Schools authorized to do a permissive levy for adult education, and that came in at, it has remained the same for several years, $37,991.
Okay.
So total budget, 45.5. Powell County High Schools, well, the county contribution through the permissive levy is roughly 38,000. And then typically, and they've already sent me the contract, but typically we do this during the approval of the budget in August.
Is there any other questions for the literacy program?
thank you for informing us. We were starting to kind of wonder what it is. We just didn't learn a lot.
And that's fair, yeah.
Thank you. We'll move on to the Garrison Lunch Program.
Sure, I'll take the lead on this, and then I think we have quite a delegation from the Garrison School here as well. We started a hot lunch program for Garrison School because they do not have a hot lunch program. We started that in January of 2024, and so the program ran for 5 months there. We would order the foods necessary. Our kitchen staff would then unload it and pack lunches each day, and then a representative from Garrison would come over and pick it up. There was extra bags that they had, and so bags then would be dropped off, the hot bags then would be dropped off the next morning when they would pick up lunches to go back and forth. It worked really well. I thought it was a great courtesy on behalf of the Deer Lodge School District to be able to provide that for the students in Garrison until the end of the year came, and we found that out of 15 students there, 13 of the 15 had unpaid lunch bills at a tune of almost $2,100. And I don't know, I mean, maybe there's a solution that we can talk about, but I don't really feel that we have $2,100 in our budget in a 5-month period to take care of what I look at as a great opportunity and a courtesy for our district to provide lunches for them. And so until we can resolve that issue somehow, and it's not just paying that back, but trying to figure out, okay, moving forward, is everybody going to be doing, paying their bills moving forward in a 9-month period, not just a 5-month period? And are we going to be in the same situation at this time next year that we are in now, but basically double that? So that is some concerns and fears I have moving forward, that our budget will not support providing lunches to the Garrison School, which is a separate school district. So I guess at this point, I would entertain questions, and again, I know there's a contingency here from Garrison, so I imagine they have something to also provide for us. Also, just one last thing, I provided in your packet on Thursday or Friday of last week, a letter that was written by the lead teacher, Mrs. Trainer. So you've had an opportunity to read through that as well. I didn't include in your packets tonight, but I did email to all of you last week.
I got it.
Mr. Gray.
I do have a question. I guess, what was understanding between the two districts when you started the lunch program? Was the understanding that Garrison would pay for the lunches?
Well, the students, I mean, it's the same here. I mean, we have parents that don't pay lunches here too.
Right.
For their children. But yeah, I mean, we weren't providing free lunches. I think it would help because I believe that there are some students there that would qualify for free or reduced lunches, and the paperwork was only filled out on 2 of those children. So I think, maybe we could get more kids or more parents of those students to fill out the paperwork that would provide free or reduced as well.
That's not technically the case. On a few of them, the paperwork was filled out later. And as we've stated every year, we can't backdate. I have to go off of the date the application was turned in. And so that's the urgency to get these parents to turn that paperwork in as soon as we start serving meals. Otherwise, when it's 4 months later, I can't, they may qualify for free, but I can't backdate and refund all those meals before that application was turned in. So that was an issue with at least one of the families, not a couple.
I do have a question. When we started it in January of last year, so when were the parents given the paperwork, the packet?
I do not know.
They were given before they started serving meals.
Were the meals the same meals that were coming from our?
Yep.
Mr. Riddle, you?
Well, there was a kind of a mess in Garrison last year. I think that might be part of it. I I guess I would ask Riley if she disagrees that the bill's owed. I think she agrees in agreement with the bill being owed. If that bill could be paid, are we of the opinion that this could start up again?
Yeah, I don't have a problem. I mean, again, I'm speaking on my behalf, and not, I mean, the board can make any decision they want, but we need something in place, whether it's just better communication with the parents out there to fill out the paperwork, or just pay your bill, because it's like $2 and some cents a meal. It's really not very much on that. And again, I think it's a great opportunity to partner with Deer Lodge Elementary, or now Deer Lodge School District, and Garrison, and provide lunch program, but our budget cannot pick up $2,100 in unpaid lunch bills.
Nor should it.
Nor should it, yeah.
Nor should it. So I think maybe there's, I think Riley was a student teacher last year, got dumped in the middle of that. I think there's a chance that she could get this parents to fill these out. I know that she spoke to me, and I know that she's working on getting a donor to pay that bill. I don't know what the chances are of the parents paying the bill. I have no idea. I don't know that she does. I think her goal tonight was to know that it was a possibility to move forward or not. And I can't speak for her. She's here. I would hope she would speak or be allowed to speak. I just want to make sure that we do what we can to help them and to partner with them. And I'm also totally 100% the bill has to be paid before we would go forward. I think talking about this today has a chance for this to get done before school starts. If we waited a month, I don't see this getting done before school starts. And it looks to me like there's two options. You do the paperwork and you're eligible for free lunches. You do the paperwork and you're not eligible and you pay your bill. And the other option, if you don't pay your bill, is you pack a lunch. I packed one for 60-some years, so I'm pretty familiar with it.
I have a question, and I guess maybe this is for the Garrison School District, but is it up to the teacher in order to handle the paperwork, or do we have an administrative assistant? How does the system work at Garrison?
So we have Mandy Montgomery, who's our administrative assistant, clerk, whatever. And as Mr. Rabel pointed out, there was a situation in January and February, right after this started, where a change was made. And as a member of the trustees, I'm certain that the paperwork got dropped until it was submitted. We have a 95% capability of taking care of the $2,000 that we owe, but I would also submit that several parents, and I think Rowdy's going to speak to this, several parents tried to pay their bill online, were unable to because their students are not in Deer Lodge School District, came to the school, attempted to pay the bill, no one was at the school to take the money, tried on the phone and got no response on the phone either. So we need a facility, if they have to pay, for them to be able to pay. So that's my 2 cents. But I would appreciate working with you to resolve the problem, resolve the debt.
Do you guys have
Go for it.
like a back to school night or something
Yeah.
in which all of the paperwork can be
Can I-
done at that time with aid or help? Because some of it is confusing.
Yes.
Yeah, you're too short.
Okay, okay, sorry. I didn't know if I could address the board quite yet. I was wondering if everybody was able to read the letter that I submitted. If not, I do have a copy. And then I'd like to add, so because I am the supervising teacher, that we want to do our part on our end. So I'd already planned to do it back to school night and have that night giving out the paperwork and saying, let's get this done now, that way your kids can eat. And if there's any questions that I can help fill that out with them to support them. And then like you had asked, I wanted to ask the same question. If there is a way that we could also in turn receive a bill, that way we can hold our parents accountable for it as well. That way we can give it a little extra push, a little extra, just say, hey, if you want to continue this program, let's keep it up. And then, like Rick had mentioned, having to pay online. I also don't know how to do that. So if I could sit down with somebody and get walked through on how to do that, that way if a parent comes to me and asks, hey, I don't know what's going on, I can help walk them through that. And I know that I talked to Shelly Bogus about having to have safe serve in order to serve food. And I would like to have 2 of the 3 members on our staff certified to do that. So that way it covers both of our cases. And then we have multiple people that are willing to cover this cost and to get it going. So I just want to say that. And then some of the parents reached out to me because they were unable to attend it. So I'm going to I wrote it down and I just want to share some of the thoughts of the parents. One parent who has 4 kids said it's a lifesaver with our busy life to not have to worry about lunches. We have 2 kids in Deer Lodge and we don't have to worry about their lunches and it makes the morning less hectic. I picked up lunches for half the year until I had to go back to work. I did this on my own time and my own gas money. It was worth it. The kids also liked the variety of food. And this is coming from a parent of 4. A parent of 1 stated that I think every child should have the right to a school lunch program no matter what school they attend. Garrison is small enough that they are unable to provide it. And I agree with that because being the supervising teacher and the staff that we have, I would not be able to do it on my own. And I know that my staff wouldn't be able to do it on my own, but I believe that our kids need to be fed. She also said that this lunch program has benefited the school greatly. And she wanted to ask, how does it benefit you guys to get rid of the lunch program, and how does it benefit the children of Garrison if we got rid of the lunch program? And then finally, like Rick had said, one parent said that they had tried to get that bill paid off. She said that she only received the bill once this entire year. Shelly Bogus told me that they were supposed to get it monthly, but she only received it one time. She said that she called the Deer Lodge school and left multiple messages, and however was never able to get a call back. So as supervising teacher, I would love to work with you guys. I would love to keep this going because I see these kids and I know how much that they need this. And then Garrison also, so we try to provide emergency breakfasts because we know that not all of our kids get it at home. And we provide snacks, and we are working on getting like what you guys have the snack pack program to send it home on the weekends. And we are trying to do that also with our money. So it would just be nice if we can. And especially since a lot of our students are they qualify for free and reduced lunch. Tara sent me a lot stating all of those that did qualify. And it is like, oh, I want to say 70% is what I had it figured out. And I had that written in the letter. So I don't know if the board has any questions for me about how we can just keep this going. But I agree that we are really working on trying to get this bill paid off. And we would really like to get the parents involved, and if we can help and get that going.
Would we be able to send those particular bills directly to the Garrison? I mean, even though they're to the students' parents, but the packet goes to the Garrison school for them to distribute, so then they know where we're at, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
Who were
How were we missing on the telephone calls? What was,
I have no idea.
were they calling your office or were
None of mine.
they calling up at the?
I don't know.
It
I don't
seems to
know.
me
That
that
is
could be
what-
streamlined and that would
Yes.
fix a lot of problems.
Okay.
If we had one contact, and whether it was Tara or whether it's whoever it is, but then we could get,
Yeah.
whoever
And I don't
responds
know.
can get back quickly.
I don't know when they called because if you guys were out of school, nobody's up there. So I don't.
So that needs, it seems to me that would fix a lot of missteps.
Is that the responsibility of Shelley? Yes.
No.
It is?
I mean, the billing part or the
Yeah,
phone part?
billing, and she takes the payment.
Yeah, but I don't think any phone calls would have come to her. I can't
Well, I think she called the number on the bill, whatever that was.
Shelley takes billing questions, yeah.
And if we could tonight, and I don't know how possible this is, but to get the exact number, that way we can just get it taken care of this week would be ideal. And I contacted Shelley Bogus, and she had called me back saying she was unable to get onto the count to show how much that we owed. So I wasn't able to give an exact number to the donors.
I have the exact number.
Okay.
$2,093.95.
Well, I do believe that this does need to be streamlined, and this is our opportunity to do that.
But is there a way for the Garrison parents to pay online, or do they have to?
That'd be it.
We'll have to ask Infinite Campus because I don't.
Yeah, that's
You are
part
correct,
of the
as of right
issue.
now, because they're not
Right.
one of our schools, we can't.
That's what was in count.
Yeah, so our student information system is for our kids.
No, I understand.
Yeah, and then so you get your kids. So I don't know how that technology works for other districts.
Do any of you know?
I don't think there is a way, but I think it's mail in check.
Sure, but they were trying to get it taken care of as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Do you have any suggestions or any thoughts on this? I mean,
The program in and of itself is just an absolute fabulous opportunity for everybody involved. I know the school, the trustees, the community, they're wild about it. They want to work with you guys. They also recognize that there is a debt and they're not expecting you guys to absorb it. They want to take care of it. But like any new program, it's going to have some bumps and some, oh crap, we should have done this. But no, so I think if y'all will work with them, I know I would appreciate it. I think you're looking out for my little kids. Used to have big kids, now I have little kids.
I would just ask the next time that we run into a situation like this, we have some communication rather than just saying, we're not gonna do this. Because it was never our intent not to pay the Deer Lodge School District for this. Actually, we didn't know that the debt was owed, so had we known, we'd have taken care of it sooner.
My question is we've got last year's debt taken care of, and it looks like we've kind of got an idea of moving forward on forms, but what happens if there is a debt in the coming year? How are we going to?
Good evening, my name is Deborah Crow. I'm a retired teacher of 34 years of experience. I spent the last 6+ years at Garrison School, which ended my career. After there was a situation at Garrison, I stepped in as the retired teacher to help Riley, to help our community, and to help our schools. I went through many files that were not filled out correctly, that were in disarray to try to put something together. I have heard that you as a school board will no longer be offering lunches at the Garrison School for free and reduced lunch. I personally saw firsthand how this program is needed in our community. Our families also benefited from this. Please don't make this mistake. I am working on some donors. I was a free lunch kiddo, and I think I turned out pretty good. I was Montana State History Teacher of the Year a couple years ago, and I was Queen Anne's County Teacher of the Year in Maryland. I am grateful for the nourishment that the free lunch I had when I grew up. Thank you so much.
So Rick, to answer your question, we'll come up with money, either out of our budget or donors or whatever, so.
Yeah, I mean, bottom line, I mean, for me, I'm looking at budget numbers
understand.
and, $2,000. It's a great program. I know it's benefiting your kids. I just can't pull it out of my budget. I mean, just
We'll take care
black and
of it.
white.
You've got our word that we'll take care of it.
I think the one thing that we need to look at even as the school district in whole, and I remember this from when I had 3 kids in high school all at the same time, and we had to fill out the free and reduced lunch program paperwork in triplicate, and yet the high schoolers never got a lunch back then. Didn't even have the option for it. And it was like, this is crazy. Why, number one, if we have to fill it out, so we have the numbers, we didn't have it to where it came down to the high school. They could come up, if if they wanted to and meet with elementary kids. So part of it was, some of that paperwork could be a little bit confusing too, and getting it in on time, and. So I think having that available on your back to school night, having the resources there to help you fill out that paperwork is probably one of the biggest things. And, you know, getting that streamlined.
Can we clarify if the paperwork had been filled out ahead of time or on time? What, if we know, what would the debt have been then?
But I can't say off the top of my head, I'll have to look.
I'm just curious.
That's something that I can figure out later.
It's not that important. I was just saying it should be less if the federal money is in place because we filled out the paperwork or whoever's money it is.
Right, if the paperwork's filled out, then when I report to the Fed,
Right.
I report them as free, and then our reimbursement is higher.
Yeah.
Correct.
So we'll get the paperwork filled out. Riley will take care of that. We'll get your bill paid. And please don't discontinue the program.
I don't want to. It's a great partnership.
Mr. Smith?
I would encourage you in your, when you bring this up at your back to school night, tell those parents, look, this paperwork, you know, the lunches, if you're not gonna fill out the paperwork, the lunches aren't coming.
Mhm.
The lunches start if your paperwork's filled out. And I think and we go with it on all levels. There needs to be some parent responsibility here.
Yes.
I mean, really, parents need to do paperwork, participate in feeding their own kids.
Mhm.
And so, you know, I think if you're able to, you know, set that precedent that, hey, this is available, but it's, you know, not if you want to fill the paperwork out.
Yeah.
It's a requirement.
Well, and as I know, Mr. Barth had said, not Mr. Barth, I'm sorry, Mr. Rabel, I don't know where that came from. So when they filled out the forms, I was student teaching.
Sure.
So I had no idea. I was just like, okay, we're doing this. And so it wasn't my responsibility. My
Right.
responsibility at that point was getting through school. And then I subbed, and then February 1st, I became a certified teacher. And I think it was the following week, I became a supervising teacher. So I also would like to just ask that, because I also don't know how to fill out the forms, because I myself, I'm not a parent. I have just graduated. I'm winging it, and I am hoping for the best. So if I could have some time to sit down, maybe with you, Tara, and go through that, that way I am competent enough to share with my parents to make sure that it gets filled out correctly also.
I think a streamlined process where everybody knows the exact steps and some accountability on the parents' end and forms come to where they need to be and phone numbers where we need to be. I think this thing will be resolved pretty easily.
You can't streamline a federal form.
Sorry.
So I have a suggestion. Actually, we don't use paper forms anymore. You guys had used paper forms, but as a district for the last 2 years, we don't use paper forms. It's all online. The application is online. Okay? I would suggest for your back to school night, if you guys can have a computer there, okay, and then they can sit down and fill it out right then and there, and then it automatically comes to me.
Do they have to fill it out multiple, like Jen had said, multiple times per kid? Okay.
No, it's all on that form
Perfect.
online. You do it once.
Perfect.
And it's actually really easy. I can go through it with you. Okay. But that would eliminate paper forms having to get to me because stuff gets lost. And it would be easier, and then you know if they get it done.
Okay.
So,
Tara, can you give her a heads up on what kind of information they're gonna need to fill out that form so parents can bring it with them
At that time.
And if they don't qualify, what facility can we use to get you paid by the parent?
honestly,
Just send a check.
yeah, send a check.
Now, will the bills go out monthly or will they accumulate to the end of the
No,
school
and
year?
they go out monthly. I have no explanation for that. We're only getting one bill.
Okay.
I
Can they
will
prepay?
say mail has
Yeah, can they prepay?
lost a lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Prepaid would be awesome.
Well, I don't want to screw up the paperwork.
No, anyone can
That's how-
pay and have it put on there.
Yeah, I mean, somebody, if they want to get
That's how I handle
$200 and they have $200 credit in there,
Sure.
We have people that just say, I'm not waiting for the bill, here's $200 and I get the bill.
And at the end of the year, if you have a credit on there, we have had parents come and I can write them a check and give them that money back, so.
Hold it till next year.
I'll hold it till next year,
Hold
because
till next
even if
year.
they were in the 6th grade, they're gonna show up here,
Yep.
so.
Mr. Christman.
We've got food bags going back and forth daily as well. So an envelope with checks in it, if a parent
Yeah.
gets that account, it's
That would be
already,
way easier.
we don't have to wait for it to go to billings and back to us or whatever, just put it in the bag or have an envelope marked that needs to go where it needs to go.
We do understand the need. I think what pressed this is being on the forefront is we can't have it happen again. So where is our breakdown? Where do we need to fix it? Where do we need support from all sides? And now that we're, the unified district too, how can we help?
Well, again, it started with the disaster we had in January and February.
Okay.
That won't happen again, I'm pretty sure.
I'll just leave.
No pressure, Riley.
She's been thrown into the breach. She went from being a student teacher to the lead teacher in about a week, so she's done a great job so far.
And it's not just you guys, I know the elementary, everybody's, they're gonna have a table set up here, because we have the same issue with our parents not filling out the paperwork, so back to school night, they're gonna be filling them out up here, if I understand.
So at the end of next year, if we have a debt, do we, is there still a way that, I don't know, our clerk can see that and somehow communicate that with me? Or is that, I don't know, a violation of some sort?
That's the only thing is we have to be careful with what information we're giving out.
Okay.
But I have no problem giving it to your clerk.
So maybe the solution is to put the bills in the bags, send them out to the school with the parent's name on it, and Riley can hand them the bill. If it doesn't get paid, then the next bill is gonna let us know.
That's fine.
And then you guys can handle it on your end,
Yeah,
knowing that, at some point, you're not paying for it, it's not coming.
And I assume there's the option that any of those parents can opt out and just
Yes.
pack them up.
Yes, and we have one that did every day. And they didn't get a lunch, and that's what they did. And so if that's what they would like to choose. But we had 13 kids, 1 out of 13 kids, that means 12 kids were getting lunch that day. And like I said, hopefully we get the forms filled out so it doesn't even become an issue about free and reduced, and then we wouldn't be racking up this much.
Riley, I appreciate the fact that you took the time
Thank you.
to write the letter, to give us some statistics, to give us some background, and as a new teacher to take the initiative, to see that there's a issue and a problem. And I think that's huge,
we're happy to have it.
And so looking at where you need to support too, because it's a lot to do with tracking, do you want to have that type of relationship too with your teacher going to the student's parents saying, hey, you need to pay your bill?
No, we can handle it at the board level.
So, because you want to have.
The superintendent do it.
That's right.
Now you're talking.
Because you kind of want to keep a little bit of a bubble there too.
No, I agree.
So
You like your littles.
I think we're to a point, Mr. Duncan, you're gonna continue to provide the lunches for the Garrison School. Garrison School is going to take care of where we've been, and we've got a plan moving forward. We thank you guys for coming, and
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you so much.
we will move into new business. First is the unification policy adopted.
This is the first new business of the new.
Thanks for coming, you guys.
Thank you.
As much as I love it, I'm gonna go home and eat so I don't get hangry. Nice, okay.
See ya, thank you guys. First item under new business is unified policy adoption. I believe we had 10 hours of Zoom meetings with the policy director from School Boards Association. Committee is made up of Mr. Perkins, Mr. Rabel, and Mrs. Mannix. But we also, Mrs. Crowfoot was there, and Tara was also there during certain parts of the meeting that were dealing specifically with student issues or with business issues, and it was very helpful to all of us. So the committee has gone through. I think the adoption was blending and combining and updating the policies from both districts into one 404-page document. And with that said, when I talked to Mr. Goss in terms of how a motion would be made for this, he suggested that we look at the table of contents, which is in your packet, and I believe I emailed it to you as well. And you can have a motion based on all of those. With that, I would get, if the board approves that tomorrow, it would be under Deer Lodge School District number 1, the elementary, and it would be absorbed into the current elementary one, and the Powell County High School board policy would be deleted from their webpage. So with that, I ask a motion to approve the new combined policy manual for Deer Lodge School District number 1. I'll make that motion.
And I'll second that. And then I guess I'll start with the discussion. Really, the changes, what we did was updated the language to match what the law changes were, and there wasn't any additions other than the policies that we brought to the joint board meetings for new policies that were added to the policy manual. I think it's fair to say that. The only, in the 1000 series, there was some changes with how signatures had to be handled. There has to be an original signature on checks, and all contracts have to be hand signed by the board chair. That was one of the changes.
So if you're not available, Scott, though, can you?
The vice chair.
So it did not say just simply board chair?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. It was the board chair or the vice chair.
Okay.
Mr. Rabel, is there anything else you?
The only big change that I know that I will bring up is that we did change the policy for when the minutes are back to the board. And we made that policy 1 week after the meeting.
On the minutes?
On the minutes, to be back to the board. So 1 week after the meeting, it will be in and out.
Go ahead.
Your one on original signatures.
Yeah.
Did that include student activity? Because I know at the high school
So
student.
not the high school student activity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just curious.
Yeah, we did have that conversation.
Yeah. That was in the general fund and
Claims and
Claims.
payroll.
and payroll.
And
Has to have
stuff like
one
that.
original signature. Is there any other questions, any other?
I don't think we changed a lot of the policies. There's some that we adopted that. So was there going to be a list of new policies?
Yes. Well, this will be a legislative year coming up in January, and so we'll start getting a significant amount in the spring of updates. But currently, we're updated all on state and federal laws and court decisions on.
We'll probably have the most up-to-date policy manual.
I would
State of Montana.
Right.
My question was, there was some policies that were recommended. There was some I thought we were going to bring to the entire board.
And we've been bringing some the last couple of
Couple
months.
joint
Yeah.
meetings. And did we get that accomplished, I guess?
I think we've got everything everything was approved by the committee that were there, everything.
I just wanted to make sure I just
Yeah,
wasn't.
and then
sure where I was.
Chris Goss will send us a list of those that have to be annually reviewed, because there are certain ones, so like the Child Internet Protection Act has to be reviewed every year. And there's a number of other ones.
And
So-
we also added a couple, three
Right.
ourselves to that list that we felt was important that we review every year.
Ms. Nicholson?
So tell me who was on the policy.
Mr. Perkins, Mr. Rabel, and Mrs. Mannix,
Mhm.
and myself, and then Mrs. Crowfoot and Tara also participated in some meetings.
Is there any other questions? Discussion on the policies? Discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next is principal contracts.
Yes, so we tabled this last month, the idea of just having an opportunity for the negotiating board committee to meet with our three principals and kind of look at some of the disparities between principals. And as we did with our paras, with our secretaries, with our certified staff, and with our Teamsters, we're trying to bring everybody on the same equal ground moving into this next year. And there were some financial disparities between the elementary administration and the high school administration. And so I'm going to make a recommendation that our high school principal receives a 3% increase for this next fiscal year, and that our elementary and our middle school principals receive a 6% increase.
Entertain a motion on that.
I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and make the increases on the principal's pay as advised, on a 3% for the high school principal and 6% for the elementary principal.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Rabel, discussion.
Not about that. It was my understanding that if it's school district 1, I don't have a vote.
We can separate those.
Well, so we
Yeah,
need to
we
separate
do.
between high school and elementary.
Yeah, so let's do the high school first.
Okay, I'll redo my motion.
We'll learn as we go.
Well, I just,
You're exactly right on that. Okay, so I'd like to make a motion on the high school principal to receive a 3% increase.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded to give the high school principal a 3% increase. Is there any discussion?
Discussion.
What?
I have a bit of an issue on the overall raises, and it's obviously not anything personal, but it is, for lack of a better term, dealing with equity, as much as I dislike that word. But Mrs. Crowfoot has done an excellent job. She's worth every dollar that the school district has put in. But last year, and I was on the gaining committee, you know, we gave a big increase, and trying to catch everybody up in a year does not seem easy to do to me, and I find it very hard. And I know this goes across to the next vote on the elementary and the junior high principal. I find it hard to give a 6% raise to administration when the teachers got a 3% raise, and we're not hiring a elementary teacher in first grade, maybe because we can't find one, but maybe it's because of budgetary constraints. And the fact that our paras probably need a fairly good bump as well. So I'm concerned on these high raises and the bottom part not getting the same thing. If we were to go something three across the board and everybody gets that, I find that much more even. it may be much more doable. I'm not sure how the numbers stack out, Rick. I would defer to
Yeah,
you
so
on that.
when we go back historically at the elementary, the principals would get whatever the increase was on the base that the teachers got. So, for example, if there was a 3% on the base, the way the certified teacher matrix works, there's already built in roughly a 3% there as well. So the administration at the elementary would get 3%, but the teachers technically on that 3% on the base would get 6%. That's been happening for several years here. And so as a consequence, our administrative salaries at the elementary are significantly lower than even region-wide here for the same. And so trying to bring, using the word equity again, but trying to bring some equity into our administration, we looked at 6% for that and a 3% for the high school.
In the elementary, or some of them are significantly lower than the teachers' administration is.
Yeah, so if we look at
When looking at per day pay.
Yeah, if we look at a per day pay where teachers are a 187-day contract and our principals are a 215-day contract, and you do that in a daily rate, actually the administration at the elementary is making less than what the teachers are.
I just think that, and I understand wanting to get everybody up and going as quick as we can on an even level. I'm just not certain that doing it all in 1 year is going to be quite doable. And I know that the teachers, there's liable to be, and you can't please everybody all the time, but there's liable to be some heartburn when we have an administration that's getting a 6% raise and teachers that get a 3% raise. And I'm wondering if we need to string that out over a little bit more time.
I guess to bring it into, in our meeting with them, to get them to where they should be, would have been a 12% increase. So we talked to them and we got them to go down to 6. So to get the principals where they should be, it should have been a 12% this year. And we knew we couldn't do that, so that's why we went down to the 6%.
And Mrs. Crofut actually requested that she do a 3 and then stay at a 3. So this was actually spacing it out over a couple-year period as well. Because the elementary was on a different type of pay plan, I guess, scheduled program than what we had at the high school, we kind of had to sit down and really look at that and say, where are we at on this in order to get them even partially close.
Right. And this is just one of those hiccups that are going to happen when you bring a district together. I mean, everything's not going to come together seamlessly all the time. I just maintain that, when we're short first grade teacher and our pairs are not getting probably as much as I think they should, that the 6% raise on that, on a tight budget, isn't necessarily going to sit very well.
Is there any other discussion on the high school contract?
Are we not hiring a first grade teacher because of the lack of funds?
No, we're, yeah, part of it, but also I look at the enrollment numbers coming in, and the enrollment numbers coming in would put at this point 21 students in each class. If we break, so if we have 3 teachers for 42 kids, we're down, but the budget is not going to be able to support just, it's 1 kid over in each class. To me, it just did not financially make sense to bring in a 3rd teacher.
So we're talking the high school.
Yes,
we're talking the high school contract right now.
Sorry.
Is there any other discussion on the high school 3%? Discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is the elementary contracts.
I move that we go with the 6% increase on the elementary principal contracts.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to go to a 6% on the elementary principal contracts. Is there any discussion?
Now this is where we go.
Now we can have a.
Do we know exactly, now that we have this form coming out, for instance, do we know what our enrollment really is until day one, right, of the school year? Are we fairly
Yeah, I
close?
mean, we're pretty darn close in terms of where I was at with 42 kids going to that grade level.
Mr. Chrisman.
So the last update I did before leaving with a teacher that's resigning and taking a kiddo that would be in first grade. And then, at least verbally, I've been told of 2 others that were leaving. The numbers that I have is a 19 in one and 20 in the other. Granted, summer, anything can happen, but the last numbers that I ran before summer, I had a class of 19 and a class of 20. And the state number is 20 or under, their recommendation is.
The recommendations.
What about the third grade?
The third grade has 3 teachers and they are.
Yeah.
3 teachers are
Yeah.
staying in the third grade.
Correct.
Just 1. 2 in the first grade. What was that, 2 in second grade?
So when we were in the committee, we talked about having us be fiscally responsible as well, making sure that, the appearances, just like you had talked about getting that hardware, about, what was the analogy of the one? Was it a banana? Was it a nut? What did that?
Cucumbers and grapes.
Cucumbers and grapes, thank you. Yeah, to make sure that it was, on that one. And you're right, if it would have affected the teacher placement, I'm not so sure that it would have been recommended, but Rick assured us that it was within the budget constraints of what we could do. So. Any other questions?
And one of them that could still be a teacher and make significantly more money than in the principal.
By $100.
Is there any other discussion on the elementary? Discussion on the elementary? Principals? Seeing none, will proceed to vote on the elementary principals contracted with a 6% increase. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Can I? So who all is I? Because not everyone made them.
Those two.
Oh, they can't.
That's why they didn't make noise.
We're gonna have to correct the agenda for going forward so that we can know what
It'll
is,
take a meeting or 2.
yeah, to split what is high school business and what is elementary business.
I know this is an interruption, but how does that actually work for quorum then?
It's a good question.
Because I mean,
It would depend upon what the motion would be, like, so if the motion on the elementary, the quorum would be 4, well, we only have 6, so.
the quorum to hold a meeting. You know, voting would be one thing, and I would say we are currently legal, but, you know.
You and Mr. Rabel are members of this board. You are
Right.
only limited to voting. You can participate in discussions, but you can only vote on high school. So you can sit here and talk about the elementary contracts all you want. You just can't vote on them.
Right. But where we're basically high school representatives, does that affect how the
I
quorum is
wouldn't
composed?
change the quorum on the overall
Yeah.
meeting.
Right.
Overall board.
Now, if they, 3 of their elementary board members don't show up, then they may have an issue when it comes to voting.
Yeah, high school, you should be good.
Yeah.
Elementary would be where we would be
Well,
short.
there's 5 elementaries, so it'd be 3, we have 3 here to do the vote. Would be mine.
Does that answer your question?
It's clear as mud to me.
I think.
I don't know.
I won't waste any more time.
Can you get legal guidance on that before we?
Where we have trouble?
Yeah. Okay, we'll move on to individual transportation contracts.
Each year, the high school, this is a high school issue, check the elementary does not have any, or has not had any individual transportation contracts. So by state statute, on individual transportation contracts, their residence has to be 3 miles or further from the closest bus stop. And so we have 3 of them this year. One is 18 miles. This is one way, not round trip. 18 miles, 4 miles, and 12.3 miles one way to the closest bus stop. We do these twice a year, and I would recommend approval of the transportation agreements, and then Matt knows more about this than I do.
I just want to ask, Will, were you guys gonna do yours? Because you had that extra half.
Yeah,
We're at like 3.5
we're 3.4.
or 3.
Yeah. I thought we had 4.
Yeah, I was thinking it was 3.5 and they would round up, but you said you're 3.4 miles, so I know last year you didn't get a reimbursement.
Right. Yeah, because we're 3.4 miles from.
Okay,
from
so,
the bus stop.
so you weren't gonna turn one in?
Right, because I thought.
Gotcha, okay. I was just making sure.
Yeah, because I reclocked that as well.
Oh.
Art, you got your gun in?
Left it home.
So I just want to clarify this. For this though, we don't have that, correct? Is
No,
there
no,
request? Okay.
no.
So these are tuition and transportation.
But tuition isn't, or transportation isn't a request.
I would entertain a motion to approve the individual transportation contracts.
So moved.
Been moved and seconded to approve the individual transportation contracts. Is there any discussion?
I would like to know, so I know are those from the nearest bus stop or are they from the residence?
It's from the my understanding is it's from the residence to the closest bus stop.
And mileage is included both. Distance from home to the nearest school and distance from home to the nearest bus stop, if any. So it's mileage both ways, or both of those are listed. I know you looked at the one, and you overlooked it again last year too.
Right. Well, yeah.
Or you didn't overlook it, you checked it out, looked it over.
Yeah, just.
Looked it over.
Because the one student has been, has voluntarily gone to to the Helmville School District. You know, and then, he's not geographically isolated.
Are they like, right, is the bus stop different to
The
come to Deer Lodge or
So that,
or will they go to the same bus stop either way, either district they come to?
no, I mean, it's, so he's almost as far from the district line, well, not quite. So there's the district, so he's probably 5 or 6 miles from the district line, and then it's another probably 15 miles to the bus stop from the district line.
So it's out of district to start with.
But is it just from their home to the bus stop that's on the road?
So,
Because that was approved last year, so I don't know.
right, because we've got somebody from Helmville that was advocating.
I'm not actually very familiar with.
So when they were choosing to go to Helmville, not Avon, we would not sign allowing Helmville to pay them from their house. We were not approving geographically isolated status, which would allow.
Oh, from there to Drummond.
That would the Avon School District
Right.
was not allowing geographic isolation when they
Right.
were in the elementary.
They were in Avon Elementary's district. So Helmville can only pay to the closest bus stop.
Is that marked geographically isolated?
You should be at the top.
Yes. Are you applying for isolation status? Yes.
But that's gonna come from school in Drummond, which, if they wanna go there,
But
fine,
in
I
the
just don't want.
location, they would be, I think they would be geographically isolated coming here or going there,
It wouldn't be.
no?
Do we need to table this one?
I don't think we need to table it, I'm just,
I mean, you are the transportation committee.
that'll be a fun meeting.
We see how it's going already.
Right. Yeah, I'm just curious if it's fair to the other
Out of
county.
district.
Right, the other out-of-district kids that, they're making a personal choice, which is fine. But does the school district need to be reimbursing them to the maximum of their personal choice? And the other one, supposedly by some jog in the county school map, is in Helmville's district, but I've never seen the map.
The Lincoln, or the Ovando one is actually.
No, this, I think he's a 12th grader now, but.
Which map would you like to see?
No, I don't know where the house is either.
I'm sorry?
I don't know where the house is either, but it,
We'll find out.
So maybe we need to look at it because,
I'll get with the
This-
net, we'll do some homework.
this one, the Arasta Creek Road, is not applying for isolation status. That student. And are these? I guess they were all approved. They were all approved last year. They're repeat students.
with the reasoning that the
And-
transportation dollars already allocated,
And
so.
they're repeat, so, I didn't like do a deep
I
dive
think
on
that-
that.
I think
on
you
those.
need to get your questions answered. And we need to be clear.
I know the argument last year when I brought this up was the transportation dollars are already allocated, so why not give them to the people that need them? But
But they'll be allocated again next year if we give them again this year.
right, anyway.
So
Yeah, I'm not sure.
are
We should
you
look at
thinking
it.
they have right to some money that they would have right?
For sure. Right,
But probably just to the bus stop,
Just to the bus
from
stop?
the district line to the bus stop.
where where our bus would pick them up, right?
So.
If that were the case.
So it's probably like 13 miles to our bus stop, and it's probably like 18 to 20 the opposite direction for their bus stop,
From their house.
from their house. It's about 15 from the district line.
And they're choosing to go the other direction. It's not somebody we're paying to go to Drummond.
No, we ran a bus within 3 miles of their house, and they didn't get on it.
I agree with you. We should pay to the closest bus stop that there should be on.
Well, can what? This is the, when these are approved by the board, then they go to the transportation committee, correct?
Once they're approved by the
No,
board.
they've never gone.
They
No,
don't, they're not, I
Once
thought
it's
that
approved, it's a done deal.
ultimately, I thought that ultimately, that
We have never brought these to transportation committee.
I always thought that.
Can we table these, have the mileage double checked to the nearest bus stop,
And.
and bring them back at the August meeting?
I think it should be tabled until then.
I move to table the transportation agreements till the August meeting.
I will second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign, motion carries. Non-resident attendance agreements.
So there are 33 non-resident enrollees that are going in one direction or another through here. 10 of those 33 are considered geographically isolated and are going to Drummond. As you can see on the sheet, we have students from Anaconda coming to Deer Lodge. We have students from Butte coming to Deer Lodge, Drummond coming to Deer Lodge, and we have students from Deer Lodge going to Avon. Obviously, those are elementary students. We have students from Deer Lodge going to Anaconda and Butte, and students from Deer Lodge going to Drummond, and then the isolated, geographically isolated ones. And so, however you'd like to do this, Mr. Chair, you know.
Can we break this into groups and do the ones going from Anaconda to Deer Lodge, Butte to Deer Lodge, UMIS?
As incoming?
Yes, the incoming ones, there would be, I believe, 5 of them from Anaconda to Deer Lodge. Do them in groups like that.
Do you need to break the high school out?
Well, I don't necessarily think so. I mean,
Just
House Bill 203 on the non-resident students really opened the gate up here. And a lot of these students have either been going from Deer Lodge to another district or from another district into Deer Lodge. But now with the new law in place, there's actually a tuition that's involved in that. And so we need to keep track of all that. We will not invoice them until next June of 2025, and we will not be those invoices will not be paid by statute until after July 1 of next year. So,
I think Bob's asking if he can vote on the ones coming into the elementary. If he's not supposed to vote on them.
I don't know how, we're gonna have things that are gonna.
I know we are, but
Then we're gonna be lumped things. I don't know how we're gonna get around that on every
I don't
item.
know what the law is. If the law says I can't vote on it.
we have one
Why don't you
student.
just, you could approve all the elementaries and approve all the high schools in 2 months.
I think if the motion isn't differentiating,
Right.
then you should be able to vote on it.
Correct.
So if the motion is to approve all incoming students,
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
you should
That,
be
that,
able to
yeah,
vote
that
on
would,
it. It's not
right, we're
technically
not,
elementary. but-
elementary specific.
Yeah.
But you talked me into it.
She just wants to hear us make noise.
I'm
It's
pretty sure she
quiet.
doesn't.
So we'd entertain a motion from Anaconda to Deer Lodge.
So moved.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the 5 enrollments from Anaconda to Deer Lodge. Is there any discussion? Discussion, seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign, motion carries. Motion for Butte to Deer Lodge 2.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Discussion, seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Next is Drummond to Deer Lodge.
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to approve 1 contract from Drummond to Deer Lodge. Is there any discussion? Discussion, seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next is Deer Lodge to Avon.
I'll move. I'll make the motion.
Seconded.
It's Been moved and seconded to approve 6 from Deer Lodge to Avon. Is there any discussion?
What happens if we don't approve it?
They'll take our birthdays away. I don't know. But the chair of both boards, coming and receiving districts, needs to sign the form and we have it on file. And we use it for invoicing sake in next June when we invoice the other schools or vice versa when they invoice us.
It's my understanding you can't.
Yeah.
Do we even have to vote then?
It's open enrollment. You cannot say no.
So my
So
question
this is a
is,
formality.
it's a formality. Right.
Formality.
All this is making sure that we know how many we got coming in and how many we got going out, but do we even have to vote on it?
I would suggest that we do.
Yeah.
So that it's tracked in our minutes for,
And it's more, we have to have it so that we can keep track of it for budget purposes. So that we know who to invoice and what money's coming in.
Okay. That was my only question.
okay, it's been moved and seconded. There was some discussion. Is there any other discussion on Deer Lodge to Avon? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Next is Deer Lodge to Anaconda. 6 contracts. 5 Deer Lodge to Anaconda.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve 5 contracts from Deer Lodge to Anaconda. Is there any discussion? It looks like we're trading 5 for 5.
I'd like to know what pre-K is.
Pre-K, pre-kindergarten.
So it's 4-year-old?
Yeah.
So they have a pre-K program in the Anaconda School District.
Yes, just like we have in pre-K here in Deer Lodge.
Okay, so can somebody, so that's something that's budgeted by,
Yes, we're forced to have a pre-K program as of this next year. And we don't call it necessarily pre-K, we call it early literacy.
okay, so, but it's not kindergarten, because they can only go to
Not
kindergarten
kindergarten.
one
They can
time.
only go to kindergarten one
Okay,
year. Yes.
That's my clarification that I want.
Any other discussion? Discussion, seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Next is Deer Lodge to Butte.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to approve 1 contract from Deer Lodge to Butte. Is there any discussion? Discussion, seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Next is Deer Lodge to Drummond, 3 contracts.
So moved.
I'll second that. It's been moved and seconded to approve Deer Lodge to Drummond. Is there any discussion? Discussion, seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Next is the geographically isolated. And I had a question. How do you determine what the geographic isolation, how they come up with that?
Anybody?
I would love to know because
Myself, because some of these are closer than what my elementary kids travel.
I don't know how these gold goals.
So anybody that's anybody that's in the Helmville and Ovando School District, the boundaries within the Ovando-Helmville School District are considered geographically isolated.
Right.
So over the past years, most of them go to Drummond, and we've run a bus to Drummond. We used to have quite a few students also specifically in the Ovando area that would go to Sealy, and we ran a second bus route from Ovando to Sealy as well. However, the way the law worked is that we had to drop them off at Clearwater Junction because our bus couldn't go over county lines. So the Missoula bus would come to Clearwater Junction, our bus would go to Clearwater Junction. They'd get off our bus, get on the Missoula County bus and go to Sealy. We haven't had kids in Sealy in 10 years, 8 years, 10 years. But it also, we've had students over the past years that decided they wanted to go to Lincoln. And obviously we don't do a bus to Lincoln and also be a bus crossing county lines, but we would pay them individual transportation to the nearest bus stop that Lincoln had. But the geographic isolation is within the district, the elementary district map of Helmville and Orlando.
So the four Gold Creek ones are the ones I'm wondering, because they didn't go to school.
And that's what I'm,
Yeah.
that's what I'm asking too.
The ones
because-
that live up in the reforestation area.
No.
Well, two of them live right by the
No,
interstate.
not, okay.
Two of them are up on the
Gold
interstate.
Creek. Because Gold Creek
So Gold Creek is not geographic.
resides and it's in our district.
But in the reforestation area above Helmville, the way that map works for Gold Creek is that for the most part, they're in the Gold Creek area and are considered to be geographically isolated.
So number 3 and 4
Yeah,
live
those are not,
by the interstate.
That's not geographically isolated.
no.
I don't know about the other two, the first two.
What about the one Avon, you're telling, is the Avon, that one's closer to a Powell County High School bus stop than a Helmville bus stop?
Yes.
So we've got 3 on that list that I would question on being geographically isolated.
Is that 1, 2, and 3?
It was
Yeah.
3
No.
and 4 and 6.
Okay, Annette, tell me again.
3, 4, and 6.
The last two Gold Creek, the only Avon.
Okay, we can hold those off and I can get a hold of.
Can we,
I get a hold
can we
of
double check on the first two Gold Creek as well?
I would like to, because, yeah, I don't know if they're coming out of the reforestation or not.
All right, so first,
They'd have to-
you're asking me to check all 4 Gold Creeks and the 1 Avon?
Yeah.
Okay, we can do that.
Well, and the first two Gold Creek kids should be coming out of the reforestation, but you're at Gold Creek.
Regardless.
You're at a bus stop in Gold Creek,
Regardless, though, they're asking to
be isolated.
know, whether we put them as being geographically isolated, they're still wanting to build a school system. And all we're doing is voting on if they're gonna be transferring to that school system.
Correct.
But by doing geographically isolated, they're being reimbursed at a higher rate.
They're getting more
The
money.
reimbursement is a different amount.
It's higher rate, and also, with the non-resident, the House Bill 203, it's specific that no transportation would be provided. And so if that's the case, for, say, the 4 Gold Creeks, they could certainly apply, to be residents or, residents of Powell County, go to Drummond, but the tuition would be different. And they could not rent a bus.
I think that this needs to be very clear, especially with this new, and I'd like to know where those lines are. I'd like to bring this little map. That'd be great. Because you know, but I don't know how that sits. I mean, I know where 3 and 4 are, but most of these on these other ones, I don't know that they're, I wouldn't know that you're 3.4 miles from your nearest bus stop.
I didn't know you were talking
All right, so we're gonna pull 5 of the 10.
Are we able to redo them in August then? Yeah. Okay.
So do we need 2 motions?
Yeah, can we amend our motion then?
Do we never did.
Oh, I started my line of questioning, okay.
I will make a motion to approve 5, 7 through 8 for geographically isolated attendance in Drummond.
So moved.
So it's been
Or
moved.
7 through 10.
Yeah, all Helmville and Hovanda.
Yes.
It's been moved and seconded to approve all of the Helmville and Ovando geographically isolated from the list. Is there any discussion? Discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign, motion carried.
Thank you. I apologize for the handwritten spreadsheet here, but my printer was not working.
Table the other 5?
Do we need to table those or?
I'll table it. I'll bring the 5 back now.
Transportation.
Do we need to table those other 5?
No, we'll just have it on our future agenda.
Okay.
Okay. Next is the extra duty contract.
Yeah, asked by one of the trustees, last month during our joint board meeting, we did not have a specific extra duty contract. We went through and we realized that the other ones are considered to be extracurricular, and there are two contracts specific to the high school that are extra duty, not extracurricular. And so Tara and Annette put together a contract that says extra duty, specific for the BOAG summer position and the high school chemical hygiene officer. And it's just for your perusal, it's informational only. This is what's being sent out.
Just because I've seen this, I already had it, but I didn't think of this till right now. What about the additional days for the guidance counselor?
The guidance counselor is on rather than 187, the guidance counselor is based on 210, I think, days. So the contract, it's not an extended contract, it's the number of days.
We're not calling it an extended contract anymore?
No, it's just the number of days of the contract. So rather than 187, it could be 210.
So, okay, so that had changed from last year.
Yep.
Okay.
Sarah, do you have anything?
No, I think the language on here came right out of their CBA, so I just made sure that it matched.
When do these contracts have to be signed?
For repaying.
Good answer.
I've gotten most of mine back already.
How are we at the high school? Oh, are they all together?
No, we did do it
No.
separately.
No, we did them separate. And, mine are going out in the mail tomorrow, because we have some things to go through.
Going out to them in the mail?
Yeah, and I have a memo to them that they need to be returned within 20 days. And same as on the teacher contract.
Motion to approve this one? Well, I guess the language is
We
already
didn't,
approved
we
in
didn't
the
approve the
CBA.
contract
so-
language before, it's just informational for you.
Okay, next we need to appoint a district authorized representative.
So typically, it's the superintendent is the authorized representative to do a variety of our grants, and there's a lot of other just contractual things that come through, but it's primarily dealing with OPI, that there's documents that don't necessarily need the chair's signature, but in order to get in and finish grants and that, we need an authorized representative for the district. The superintendent typically has that, and so I'd recommend that you would reappoint me as superintendent to be the authorized representative for the next fiscal year.
I so move to make Rick Duncan our appointed district authorized representative for the 24-25 year.
Been moved and seconded to appoint Rick Duncan as the district authorized representative. Is there any discussion? Discussion, seeing none, proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. And all those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is appoint business manager. Clerk. Business manager clerk.
I so move to appoint the business manager clerk for the fiscal year 24-25?
Yep.
Instead of just the 25, okay.
So it's fiscal year 25, and that begins today, and it goes, fiscal year goes July 1 to June 30.
Okay.
For 10.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
Been moved and seconded to appoint Carol Leary, the business manager and clerk for the fiscal year 25. Is there any discussion? Discussion, seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is appoint the assistant business manager.
I move that we appoint Annette as assistant business manager for fiscal year 25. Or until she's hired. The next 6 months.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded to appoint Annette Gallahan as the assistant business manager for the first half of fiscal year 25. Is there any discussion? Discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
That should change your mind.
Next, next is the authorization to pay claims.
And I put, yes, I put this on the agenda because July 1 is too early for us to have claims for the board to get ready. I mean, usually mid-month, second week is typical, or third week, but it's kind of that sweet spot in there. But July 1 is too early. We would have to have another board meeting to approve claims in 2 weeks from now. And so typically, like the high school over the years, we did not have a July board meeting. And so we would have an authorization for the clerk to pay the claims. With that said, the claims committee can still come in prior to the approval of the claims and our chair signing off on those. But I would ask, rather than having another board meeting, that you authorize Tara and Annette to pay the claims for the month of July up through our August 13th board meeting.
And if you guys can come in the 15th or 16th, somewhere around there to do that.
Good.
Maybe Tuesday.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to authorize that we pay the claims. For July, huh?
Seconded.
Been moved and seconded to authorize to pay the July claims. Is there any discussion? Discussion, seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Future agenda items.
So a few things will be, a lot, where are we at, an hour and a half? That's not too bad. But the August board meeting, we have 2 budgets to go through. We have the high school budget and all the funds, as well as the elementary budget and all the funds. There will be 2 separate motions through there. We'll present both of those to you. We'll have our spring high school coaches. We'll get those taken care of in August, as well as the fall junior high coaches. We'll have the annual policy reviews. Chris has all those. We can either do that or in August or September. There are in your packets 3 handbooks that will be on the August agenda as well. And I just put them in your packet now so you don't have to read them on screen or copy them on your own computer or copier. And then as of tonight, we had a couple things tabled for next month, individual transportation and geographic ISO. Those are what I know right now. Art?
I'd like to, on the future agenda item, I'd like to see a verification of signed contracts, please, by the teachers, and make sure everybody has signed contracts so we don't have our issue that we had last year.
I second that.
The start of the superintendent search, the discussion on how we are going to move forward with the superintendent search so that we're not behind the 8 ball. The other thing, what about elementary handbooks?
Better order pizza for August.
That's true.
We approved the policies, so how long before they're up and running, you know?
Tomorrow morning.
And how long before we can have printed copies?
As soon as I get the copier going here, because I've got all 404 pages on my computer right now. So, and I'm not going to run them off my printer, so I will send them to the copier, and then we can deal with it.
And would we be budgeted better to have somebody like,
Well, I still got a copy off one set at 400, so.
I'm just asking.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it money in advance to go to a print?
And I might want a printed copy as well, but I sure don't mind taking the first copy and I'll pay for it myself. Look at it.
I can take them and send them down to Lickety Print and have them make 10 copies.
I think you need to have, each trustee should
Yeah.
have that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Is there any other future agenda items?
I don't have a future agenda items, but I have a small request. On our website, I made a page for the unified board now with a click down for our minutes and agenda. But on the page for the board, it has each of you listed with a spot for your picture. If I can get pictures from each of you?
Probably not.
No biggie. And then also, just so you are aware, there is a link on that page too, to the school district's YouTube channel that will have the video of the meeting on there, since that is now required by law, so.
Any other agenda items? We are going to adjourn the meeting.
So, this one's a second.
Now that we're got the new